Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, Global Red. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, share this video with someone you think could benefit from it. Today's video is focused again on the transitioning marijuana situation in Thailand. I wanted to put out just kind of a fact sheet type of video, something that compiles the list of the information as I know it and kind of gives you a little overarching summary of what exactly is going on. A lot of you have been asking different questions. I've put hours and hours into this to bring you minutes and minutes. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you're on my channel because of my Thailand series, which is a practical guide to how I live between Thailand and Vietnam mostly, then I promise you I have a lot of videos coming that are going to be right up your alley. But this is a pertinent topic and I wanted to make sure that I cover it and update people like I said I was going to, as I learn more what's going on in Thailand and what's going to happen. So that's what this video is about. So we'll just go ahead and get started. I decided the best way to divide this up is in little categories, and we'll just talk briefly about each one. The first will be the product itself, so the brief history of cannabis and how we got to this stage. And then we'll switch over to point of sale, which is from a retail perspective and owner's perspective, what they have to do, what's changed for them. And then we'll talk about getting you from zero to weed. If you get off of the bus or you get off of the train or you get off the plane, how do you get from having nothing to having weed, right? Because if you're visiting, that's probably what you really want to know. And then we'll end up with the future proposals, what we can expect to possibly happen down the pike, and some gray areas of operating between now and then that you may see happening. This is a moving target, so you're going to get a lot of opinions on what's going on with this. I dropped an opinion video. I decided to take it down because it didn't really reflect who I want to be on this channel. This video is just to give you an update. So without further ado, we'll get into that. So in 1979, Thailand passed their Narcotics Act, and marijuana was included among the list of narcotics that could carry enforcement from the Thai government and allow local law enforcement to interact and departments to communicate and all that. Similar to what happened in the US with the war on drugs, given some teeth to the enforcement and an organizing around kind of stopping the worst parts of drug abuse. In 2018, that act was amended, allowing cannabis to be prescribed medicinally with a doctor's permission, right? At this point, recreational cannabis was still very much underground. There was a huge black market, as there is in nearly every country that doesn't have it legal, and so that's what Thailand was dealing with in 2022 when they decided to remove marijuana from the narcotics list. So the Narcotics Act no longer applied. There were some enforcement measures that were curtailed, and it opened up the market for recreational sales with little guidance and oversight. And so that brought us to 2025, where you have, some would say, out of control market in various areas, and the locals, who I believe only smoke cannabis at around 10%. That's the number I got. Only 10% of actual Thai people smoke cannabis, right? So this is a huge tourism push right out of the COVID-19 pandemic that really helped bolster tourism for Thailand. But being unregulated and unenforced, right, then you have smoking on the streets, and you have shop owners operating without licenses, you have growers that don't have to pass any type of inspection, you get edibles that don't have to adhere to any regulation at all. Whether it's on a large scale or small scale, some of these things were happening. And so you have a coalition that falls apart that was holding this recreational cannabis up, and the one that's kind of left in power right now is the anti-cannabis party, and they're trying to roll it all back. They have moved cannabis to what is called a controlled herb, and that allows law enforcement to get in and do some of the things that they weren't able to do, and they are doing that to signal that they want to go further and add this as a Class 5 narcotic, which would put it back under the Narcotics Act, and then allow for very stringent enforcement. And if you're a foreigner and you're caught smoking recreationally, you could be stopped and you could be deported, fined, even imprisoned, and there is a lot more enforcement to do so under that than the way that cannabis has been. Medicinal use, that is protected by law, right? And so that's what this current party is trying to roll things back and say, this is the law. You issued some decrees under a coalition that no longer exists, so we got our own decree and we're following that. So similar to an executive order if you live in the US. And so specifically a controlled herb, now doctors can only write 30-day prescriptions, and the sourcing has to be completely documented digitally, which there is a system set up for this. So it has to abide by good agricultural and collection practices. And so now doctors who prescribe cannabis kind of in a willy-nilly fashion, they can actually be held accountable and liable. And so this could impact how many doctors actually want to write prescriptions for cannabis. So this is the same as them writing prescriptions for opioids or methamphetamines, right? So that's where we stand on that. And so shop owners at the point of sale, dispensaries, they have to switch now to medical only. And so that requires a lot of things. Number one is they have to demand and record your prescription and your medical certificate. And that medical certificate includes a lot of personal information about you. Now, they may not get all of that personal information, but it's going in the system digitally, right? So I just want to let you know this will be a data collection for the purpose of tracking, right? So that can freak some people out that used to just be able to walk in and just pick out a strain and buy some weed and leave, right? So it's just not going to be that anymore under this new guidance, right? Existing businesses have to obtain licensing under the Thai Traditional Medicine Act to be able to act as licensed practitioners. So a commercial license that's worked since 2022 no longer works, and so that's why the government's been going in and citing and suspending people under this new guidance, saying that you don't have the right license and I'm going to give you time to get it, right? That doesn't mean they will be able to. I mean, you have to actually get licensed. I don't know how difficult that is, but it probably isn't something that you can do in a few days, and it probably costs some money. So smaller businesses may just choose to close up shop. That's just how it goes. There are 18,000 cannabis shops in Thailand, and the government themselves expects most of them to go away. And here's something that I had to look a lot into, because I heard if you wanted to do any on-site smoking, they would have to have a doctor on site. They have to have a licensed professional on site all hours that they're open, regardless of whether there is smoking on site or not. So that is a huge change, right? So again, you can see larger shops being able to adapt, and smaller shops, which really represent, I would say, 80 to 90% of the total shops, how they may just be like, we're going to ride this out and then just probably go away, right? I'm not saying that's going to happen. Shop owners are saying this is too stringent. We did the right things and opened up a business under a commercial license, and now you want to come in and take it all away. They filed a lawsuit. Nobody knows where that's going to go. But the current government does have the authority to enforce as is and to kind of repeal the measures that have been used in recent years to bolster and build the recreational cannabis sector. The doctor can only prescribe a certain amount of usage per month, so tracking not only shops but customers on what they can and cannot purchase. So in theory, if your doctor says you can have 30 grams this month and you walk in to buy your 31st gram, then the shop, that will pop up in the system and the shop can say no, no. So shops are right now kind of making their decision as to whether they want to change now, whether they want to wait for law enforcement to come in and cite them, or what they want to do. Some of this honestly should have been maybe happening anyway. I know in the States, so any state that wants to do this, they have stringent records on making sure that things are labeled with the amount of THC and other chemicals and what farm they came from, and those farms have to pass certification and all that. So some of this is just going to be like anywhere else that does this. They're just going to try and get it all above board. And, hopefully this can stay recreationally legal and have everything above board that way, because I think we'd all like to know where the stuff comes from. Okay, so zero to weed, right? You just get off of your plane and all this other stuff doesn't matter. You just want to be able to go and get your weed. What do you have to do? Well, not under the law. Right now, you can probably just go and find a place and they'll sell it to you. You'll find some places that'll do that, right? You even have some places on site that'll write their own prescription for you. That's not going to fly under the new guidance, apparently. But I would check out Google Maps and check for the most recent comments, and people can tell you what is currently happening what's currently allowed at that particular dispensary, because again, this is changing all the time. So getting your straight answer is tough. But let's just say you want to not have to worry about that. You're going to be there for a month and you just want to be able to walk into wherever it's selling and just pick it up. Well, first thing you have to do, you have to get your PT33 medical certificate. That is obtained only at a doctor, dentist, pharmacist, or traditional Thai medical practitioner, right? So those are kind of going to be your four avenues. Most hospitals are going to have a doctor on site. That's going to be your cheaper place usually to get this. Your Thai traditional medicine facilities or specialists are generally going to be more expensive. And the price is just going to vary. I wish I could narrow this down a little more, but you're going to pay between 200 and 3,000 baht, right? So that's kind of the range right now. So your first order of business, maybe before you come, you set up an appointment for the day you get off the plane and you go to that doctor and you get that PT33 and your prescription from your doctor. And so then it's simple. You just take that prescription and that medical certificate into your local dispensary and you show it to them and they'll get you in the system and get you whatever it is you ordered. So a little inconvenient, but just remember, Thailand is still one of the most liberal countries in the world on cannabis. And after you purchase it, you may just have to take it back to your hotel to smoke it, right? So this, the public smoking, if there's enforcement around, they are going to enforce it. That's just kind of, I think, how it's going to be. I think they're going to choose lax enforcement in high tourist areas. That's what I think. I'm no professional on that, right? That's just conjecture, right? But there's still a lot of people getting what they need right now. So this is a moving target. And we brushed on this just a bit, but November 11th, if you're hearing that date, that's the date that supposedly the enforcement kicks into higher gear. They expect to vote on moving cannabis to class 5 narcotic. Most people don't think that's going to happen because it does require like a parliamentary vote from a board. And the reason that this current party is kind of approaching this way is because they don't really probably have the votes to pass laws. So it's just kind of a ministerial decree, roll some things back and see what sticks. My guess is that it's going to be more strict than it was, but less strict than what the current party wants it to be. So somewhere in the middle. So Thailand's operated under a lot of gray area in this, cannabis culture, right? And so they're going to continue to do that as this all unfolds, because a lot of it is a risk reward, and everybody assesses risk differently, whether that's consumers, whether it's shop owners, cultivators, growers, whatever, right? So everybody assesses this risk differently for their own business and decides what's worth it, what's not. What do I need to do? How do I balance this? Would I get suspended, and then how much does it cost to get it fixed, and is it worth it for me to do now or wait? There's going to be a lot of that going on, right? So everything else is just conjecture on my part or anybody else's, okay? But some things that I think could happen. Number one is they could make it very easy for current dispensary workers to become licensed to handle this, right? And so what they would call a medical professional could be somebody who took a 2-week course on marijuana awareness or something like that, right? Now, I don't think it's going to be maybe that easy, but that's maybe one of the last things that they demand because they know that it takes time and money to do. So that's one thing you can look for. Along similar lines, they could give businesses that are currently under a commercial license, which has worked up until this point, give them time to get that medical certificate, right, and give a deadline date. Currently, that's November 11th, but you could see, how it goes. Sometimes you can see extensions on that if businesses are trying to comply but haven't already, and if it could damage the economy if they all go under, stuff like that. And I mentioned this, but you can see a lack of enforcement in tourist areas, right? So lack of enforcement means the businesses there are safe for the most part. So that would be a way, as the Thai government rolls things out, they may want to focus on residential areas, places that have reported problems, all of that, and hit these tourist areas last, if ever, right? So that's something you could look for. And then if they do get these medical professionals on site, they could allow them to do the whole process where they're writing the prescription, They're handing out the TP33 form, and you can just still walk into a dispensary. You take care of it all there, get all of that legal, and then purchase, where you don't have to go to a different separate place, a doctor or traditional Thai medical facility. So things are changing rapidly, and we don't know exactly what the future holds, but for now I do think you'll be able to come into Thailand and get what you need. Even if the enforcement goes the way that the current ruling party wants it to go, it's going to drive this underground. It's going to be everywhere. I appreciate you guys being here today, and thank you for your support. If you haven't, again, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and check out my next video or my last video. All right, thanks.